Last year's Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge were excellent phones, but then washing machines started blowing up, and Note 7 started catching fire, and some goodwill for Samsung dried up. It's not hard to look at the new Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus as the first steps on a road to redemption, and man, what a step these things represent. Both devices benefit from a lot of polish and lots of thoughtful decisions, and despite Bixby being pretty half-baked, these are two of the best smartphones money can buy. First off, both phones look and feel incredible, and they're actually really comfortable to hold despite their big screens. The S8 has a 5.8-inch Super AMOLED display, while the larger S8 Plus has a 6.2-inch screen, and those would normally be recipes for cramped hands. Thing is, these screens stick to an 18.5 by 9 aspect ratio, which makes them a little longer and narrower than you'd expect. These displays, by the way, are excellent. The S8 and S8 Plus both have curved screens, hence the death of the Edge model, and since they're AMOLEDs, you can expect bright, punchy colors and great viewing angles. Out of the box, they're set to run at the equivalent of Full HD. You'll have to dive into settings if you want that maximum 2960 by 1440 crispness. It's a clever move to prolong battery life, and you can even turn down the resolution more to squeeze extra juice out of these things. Oh, and did I mention these devices are still IP68 water and dust resistant? That means the phone can handle a shower, or a stumble into a pool, or in my case, a chilly Thursday afternoon with a couple bottles of wine. Last year we tested the waterproofing on the S7 and S7 Edge with a pitcher of beer, but since Bixby can actually identify wines, we figured, yeah, let's just dunk this thing in some vino. In fact, the S8 and S8 Plus are full of carryovers and modest improvements. The 12-megapixel cameras around the back are awfully similar to the ones on the S7 and S7 Edge, which is only really okay because they were great to start with. Colors were crisp and vivid, and there's a lot of detail to be found thanks to Samsung's improved behind-the-scenes processing. Perhaps the biggest addition to the photographic mix, beyond a very good 8-megapixel selfie camera, are 31 frankly insane Snapchat-style filters. My personal favorite, the one that turned me into a rough-and-tumble cowboy. The batteries are basically the same as the ones in the S7 and S7 Edge as well. In fact, the S8 Plus's 3500 mAh battery is actually a little smaller than the S7 Edge's, but that's alright, they're still pretty great. The S8 tends to stick around for about a day and a half to 2 days of use, and the S8 Plus, closer to 2 days, just the way I like it. Other parts of the S8s are markedly different from other Galaxies you might have laying around. As with the Note 7, there's an iris sensor for unlocking phones. It's generally pretty fast, though it doesn't always play nice with glasses like mine, and it sometimes takes a while to get the alignment just right. The traditional home button is gone too, replaced by a pressure-sensitive point on the screen that vibrates when you push it, sort of like the iPhone 7's home button. This means two things. One, the navigation keys are also on screen, so you can finally put them in the correct order. And two, the fingerprint sensor is now on the back next to the camera, which is honestly more annoying than I thought it would be. I just kept smudging the lens whenever I tried to unlock the phone. Oh, and the S8s also come with 64GB of storage right out of the box, which you can expand further with a microSD card. The combination of Qualcomm's new Snapdragon 835 chipset, 4GB of RAM, and Android 7.0 Nougat mean the S8 and S8 Plus are effortlessly quick machines. None of the apps or games I threw at these phones over a week of testing made them stutter, though you might notice a hiccup or two if you've got a lot, and I mean a lot of stuff going on. All that horsepower is more than welcome, but the experience of using the phone on a regular basis is helped more by changes made to Samsung's custom interface. There are a lot of thoughtful tweaks made here, and it looks a whole lot better than last year's version of TouchWiz. For example, a swipe up or down opens the app launcher, which has a search bar front and center instead of hidden behind another button. Meanwhile, pressing and holding an app opens a pop-up menu that lets you, among other things, instantly uninstall or disable whatever you selected, no dragging app icons around. It saves you a trip into the settings, and it's helpful when ridding your phone of carrier-mandated bloatware like the T-Mobile stuff I have here. The Edge UX is back too, offering you quick access to your favorite apps, contacts, etc. They're nice, but I often forget they're there. What I don't forget about is Smart Select, the ability to record the screen and make GIFs on the fly. I cannot stop with this. The S8 and the S8 Plus frankly feel more mature and more premium because of these subtle, thoughtful software changes. And then there's Bixby. Long story short, it's a classic case of overhyping and underdelivering, for now anyway. Samsung says you'll eventually be able to use your voice to do anything you can do by touching the screen, but literally none of that is ready yet. If you want to ask about the weather or see if there are any decent restaurants around, you have to talk to Google Assistant instead. And that's frankly fine by me since the Assistant is already very good. It just sucks that a crucial part of Bixby was not ready for launch. The Bixby we did get has two main parts. The first is Bixby Home. It's a Google Now-like screen that's really helpful for quickly glancing at your next calendar appointment, your daily activity levels, or what's trending on Twitter. It's perfectly serviceable, and I actually check it a lot. Too bad you have to sometimes mash the Bixby button in order to get it to launch. The other part, Bixby Vision, is more interesting. Just point the camera at something and Bixby will try to identify it. From there, you're given options depending on what you're looking at. If it's a book, let's say, or some food, Bixby will offer corresponding Amazon links so you can buy it online.
Yeah, pick up those juices.
Thing is, Bixby can't really wrap its head around brands, so my plan to use it to identify all the cool shoes and bags in New York didn't really work. If it's pointed at a bottle of wine, Bixby uses Vivino to give you a rating and some notes about taste, and no, I'm serious, this is a real thing, and it's somehow the most consistently functional part of the Vision experience. Beyond that, you can point Bixby at signs or text to either extract it for copy and pasting elsewhere, or translating it if it's in another language. That sounds useful, and it would be if Bixby could consistently tell what it was looking at. In an ideal world, you point Bixby at a book and hit a text option. Bixby will then figure out what on the cover is actually text and let you select it so it can spit out a translation based off of that. Sometimes, though, Bixby doesn't acknowledge that there's text you might want to translate or extract, so the text option never appears. And other times, when the option does appear, Bixby doesn't parse all of the text it sees, so you can't translate what you want to translate. I'm still bullish on Bixby, and over time I think it'll grow into a fully fleshed out virtual assistant that's worth relying on, but for now, Bixby needs work, and it needs a lot of it. In the end, Samsung has done some incredible work with the S8 and the S8 Plus. It succeeded in crafting two impeccable devices with a laundry list of features people want and enough polish to make it all feel fresh and intuitive. Bixby's limited functionality and lack of consistency is a real bummer, but in just about every other area, Samsung has outdone itself.